Hi there and welcome to these Maschine Explained videos. This is by way of an introduction to say that although we're going to be looking mainly at the desktop software, which works in standalone mode or as a plugin, we're also going to have a quick look now at the hardware, which is tightly integrated with the software. And often you'll be using the hardware to control the software in the studio, and also if you're out live playing with it, then you'll be using it to control it. A quick overview, and a lot of it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to quickly give you a full tour of the interface. So in the bottom left, you've got the transport controls: play, record, erase, shift, grid, step, back and forth, and restart. And you'll also see at times the white legend over buttons. Now, for example, if I press the shift key and the play key, then the metronome will start. If I do it again, it'll stop. It's the same around the pads as well. If I press the shift key, then the 1 button becomes undo, 2 button redo, the 5 button quantize, and so on and so forth. So don't forget that when you're using it, you can use that shift key and move around quite quickly on the hardware. There's our transport keys, and depending on which version of Maschine, if you had an earlier one, then that restart button is now called the loop button. Moving above that, you've then got the group keys. Now there's 8 groups within Maschine, and basically those are the kind of soundtracks that you've got. Group A, B, C, and D, E, F, G, and H. Now, depending on how many groups you've got set when you open up a song, only the ones that you're using will light, and you use those to select the different parts that will then light up the pads. So for example, if I've got a drum kit on Group A, and I'm only using 4 of the sound slots within Group A of the 16, then only the bottom 4 pads, or depending on where I've put them on the software, will light up. For example, if I then use Group B, and all of the sounds are allocated across the 16 sounds, then all 16 will light up. If I'm using it in pad mode, where I can use it like a keyboard, then all 16 will light up. So that's used in different ways. So that's where we can switch our groups on and off. If they're lit up, they're on, and if they're unlit, then of course they're muted. Moving above that, you've got your volume, your pitch, your time, and your tempo and your swing. Now you'll see above the volume, the tempo, and the swing that you have 3 bracketed words: volume, pitch, and time. Now if you hold down any of the group buttons or any of the pads and then move either the volume, the pitch, or the time, that will affect either just that group or just that instrument. You should try it. Hold down the kick drum and move the volume, and you'll hear the volume go up and down. Move the pitch, and you'll hear the pitch go up and down. Move the time, and you'll hear the groove change and the swing time change on that part or on that group, depending on what you're pressing. The next thing that you won't have in the software, but is very useful if you know how to use the paint option within the software, is note repeat. Depending on how you've got your note repeat set, for example 8 beats, if you hold that down and then press a pad, it will do a repetitive play. So like a hi-hat part can be quickly programmed without you have to repetitively tap it. Very useful, and it responds to velocity as well. So it doesn't just sound mechanical, it will actually respond to velocity at the same time. Moving to the right hand side then, we've got the pads, and that's where in live mode or in the studio you can select scenes, patterns, you can navigate around. Make sure you open up your manual and have a good read of how all these pads work, or read the PDF online instructions. Very useful. Now above the pads then, you've got the 8 soft keys and the 8 soft knobs, and they respond differently depending on what you've got selected. So make sure you're looking at your screen when you're using those, because depending on what you've got set, those knobs will do different things. Anything from enabling a loop to choosing a sound, browsing through sounds, selecting loop positions. So you might be a hardware person and want to work with the hardware all the time. Some people want to work with the software. It's entirely up to you. Moving up to the left then, you've got some more controls. You press the shift key and the control key in the top left hand corner, then that will put the machine into controller mode, which means you can then use it to play other things, either other VIs that are built into your sequencer or other external hardware. So you can actually use it to trigger things over MIDI or over USB. So there we are, that's a kind of hardware introduction. Hope that's been a help. It's a quick overview, as I say. The best thing to do is to dive into the manual and go in deep. These videos are mainly around the software. I'll be referring to the hardware during the videos, so get used to using the hardware. I hope this short introduction has been a help. Thanks for watching.